Now, before I start this video off, the 1,500 and the 2,000 subscriber goals were more of a joke to get you guys subscribing. As it looks, you actually are close for 1,500. Please don't. It was a joke, please. I don't want to get. I don't eat a chili every time I lose a unit. Oh my gosh. European War 6. Was it a success or was it a failure? Now, I have been playing this game from the beginning. I've been making videos on it, and for me personally it did really well and it blew up my channel, so I'm very thankful for it. But today I'll try to be objective as possible, because I know I would probably rank it higher if I just would go on my feeling, because yeah, it did so well for me. So let's start off with how many downloads did it get. I mean, you can say, how do you measure success or failure? On Google Play Store, the game got over 100,000 downloads. Now, that seems very good, and I also would say that's quite a successful game, but I think we should also look at it from the perspective of an easy tech game, so I'll be ranking it in an easy tech perspective, I guess. And if you compare to European War 4, which is its predecessor, it has 1 million downloads, and if you look at the World Conquerors, World Conqueror 4 has 500,000 and World Conqueror 3 has a staggering 5 million downloads, which is also kind of shown by the European War boards, where European War 6 overall gets about 8,000, but European War 4 gets about 17,000. European War 5 gets 7,000, which is clear that it trumps that game. And the World Conqueror series both are over European War 6, with World Conqueror 4 being on 11k and World Conqueror 3 being on 20k. Now, only looking at these numbers is probably not super objective, because European War 6 is the youngest game, it has the least time to download, and as soon as there will be mods available, I think this number will go up and might jump over World Conqueror 4's. So, in terms of downloads and of the community, or it belongs to the top 4 games, I'd say. If you look at World Conqueror 3 and World Conqueror 4, these are, if you look at World Conqueror 3 and European War 4, which are the two best by far, and then World Conqueror 4, which European War 6 might overtake, but it probably won't catch up to those top 2. In terms of downloads and positioning, it gets a 4 out of 5. Now let's continue this by looking at the graphics and the graphics of the game. First of all, the loading screen looks quite nice, I have to say. If you look at campaign, the campaign screen is quite pleasing, I have to say. Again, it's a bit debatable if the ocean looks as well, but I think overall the European War 6 graphics probably, you can zoom out and have us look close view. I think European War 6 graphics probably trump all of the easy tech games. Now this is very debatable and very intuitive. I just say it looks cleaner, it looks a bit more modern, and the whole how the map is held, it's kind of a weird angle, to be honest, in the beginning, but if you play it longer you get used to it and you find it quite enjoyable. At least it was like that for me, but that's just my view. I just say, out of all the easy tech games, for me it's the most pleasing, so it gets a 5 out of 5. Now the next point I want to address is the difficulty. Now, European War 6 generally is quite a difficult game. And for me, I think for hardcore players who like to play a tough game, want to advance, it is amazing. If you want to go on, it belongs to the toughest of the easy tech games. The conquests are so rigged against you, except Netherlands, that it's really a challenge to win, and that can make it fun for some players, but apps for the phone usually tend to be more casual. So the question is it the right strategy to go on a phone game and play it so hardcore? It might be, but just for me it won't get the full points for difficulty, so I will say 4 out of 5. But it's very subjective, because I like it a bit more, and some people say it's too hard, which I've read quite often, that European War 6 is a lot harder than, for example, European 4 was, so keep that in mind. Now, a big minus of European War 6 is that there is no modding, just isn't there yet. Now, a next point is the music. Now, the music is suiting, it's a strategy game, it kind of suits the theme, it suits the time. I think it's quite solid music, it's nothing crazy like, OE4 music, which really is good. So I'll give it a 4 out of 5. Now, to the story, they added a lot of different campaigns, but a lot of different scenarios, which is quite cool, I have to say. They added tons of challenges, which also go into a lot of the stories. I think the storyline is quite good for an easy tech game, for a mobile game. So it gets a 4 out of 5. I also had to make a special point for the map, because the map, once again, just the map proportions of almost every easy tech game is just really weird. Just look at the size of Spain, look at the size of the US. Is Spain about half of the US? No. Is France and Germany bigger than the US? Just no. Yeah, the graphics are kind of unrealistic. It's I guess the map is just made so that it is, the gameplay makes more sense, even though the map don't make sense, because the distance between Spain and America is just unrealistic. It's just far too small. Look how near Canada and Britain are. Just look at the size. If I go to the maximum distance here, this is the distance between Portugal and Spain. From the end of Portugal to the end of Spain. That's just not realistic. So yeah, map gets 3 out of 5. I just give it a little plus because it's probably for the gameplay. I mean, if you want to just travel for ages over the ocean, it's just not fun. Now the gameplay overall is quite good, I have to say. It's very intuitive. You go after cities, you attack cities, it makes sense. You fight for what is valuable. The gameplay is super easy. You just click on a unit, you can do stuff with it, you can build, but you probably never build. But you could build. It's quite logical, it makes sense. And that just goes for the controls as well. What I think is a good feature is the surroundings feature, and that you can drop units moral if you're around them. Makes sense. If you shoot from a lot of angles at somebody, you will get a little problematic. Just look at Germany, World War II. That just applies to the whole nation. But what I think what makes sense sometimes is if there's just some units just chilling at the edge of the map, which, let's say, if I now sent this unit here far into the north and it's just out of anything, it doesn't take any damage. So it doesn't make sense if you have troops somewhere, I don't know, in Denmark, in their territory, and they don't get any damage or don't starve. Something like that would make a little more sense. But because of all of that, I gave it 4 out of 5 once again. Exactly so as the controls. Super easy. Actually, the controls would have gotten 5 out of 5, I have to say. But for me, there's just one point which is a little annoying, which gives it 4 out of 5, is that these thingies down here and the finding the generals, if you want to buy supreme generals and stuff, it's just a bit counterintuitive to press on the plus, the medals. And a lot of people have complained that the princesses is hard to find, how to actually get them to make them generals. You have to press on the I point, which is not really easy to find. They should make that more obvious. So it gets 4 out of 5 just for that. Now, they have introduced 4 modes in this game. As in a lot of other games, Conquest obviously is a big feature. You fight the whole map, but Conquest is my favorite thing. 5 out of 5, undiscussable. Now, campaigns, they didn't do too bad. To get the star system, you can do it for a certain amount of turns, it makes sense, but I just think that the World Conquer 3 campaign is just the coolest, where you can play it once as the basic one, then you can play the silver and as the gold version. Let's look here. And every time you get again new rewards, and it gives a replayability, you can get medals, it just makes a lot of fun. I think the World Conquer 3 model of the campaign is just the best by far. So because that it gets 3 out of 5. Now the challenge mode I really enjoy quite a lot, because first of all you can get the reduced generals. You earn medals while playing them, you get a reduction on their price. It just is cool. I mean, it's the same as in World War 4, where you could get the likes of Rommel and a lot of other generals for cheaper if you actually played the general missions. Here not Eisenhower, oh my gosh. For example, Nimitz you get cheap, you get Rundstedt cheap if you play the missions. The new missions which you could do daily is fine, you can get some extra medals. The whole wars here, I like those editions. They make sense. Again, a new way to grind medals, to grind gold and whatever. Makes sense. Gives a 4 out of 5. Now the multiplayer, I mean, what is there to say about the multiplayer? Multiplayer is just for one-on-one. I mean, it does work, it's just not a lot of fun. 2 out of 5. A big point, just at least for the Apple users, I don't know how it is on the Android, but you can actually have an iCloud. You can save your save and then you can transfer it to another device. For that it just gets 5 out of 5. Finally they implemented it. Now if you look at the cost of the game, it does cost $1 when I downloaded it. I don't know how it is nowadays. If it's around $1, it won't be more expensive. It'll be $1 or less, or even free now. I don't know. A big minus is just that the generals and the medals to buy in game are very expensive. 50 francs for 100k. I mean, 1 franc is about $1. 50 francs for 10k medals is just a lot of money, and the generals itself also quite expensive. So only for that it gets a 4 out of 5 because those are kind of pay to win. But you also, if you grind enough, you can get it without that. Because the generals you can buy otherwise are so good that you don't even need the in-app purchase generals. The reviews they also got on the market was on Google Play, and the App Store didn't find anything. Google Play it had a 4.1 in comparison to European War 4's 4.4, World Conquer 3's 4.4, and World Conquer 4's 4.1. It's a solid one. It belongs to the 4 best games in that ranking. A feature which also was very big in this game is generals. For example, in European War 4, generals weren't as big as in European War 6, but that they also had it in World Conqueror 3 and World Conqueror 4. I kind of like it, but it makes it again a little more pay to win, so I don't know, it makes a lot of fun to put your general there, just beast around. That's really cool, but overall I think that's just a okay feature. I'll give it 4 out of 4 because I really enjoy it myself, but not sure objectively it could be 3 out of 5. Overall, if you count up all the sums I just did, you will get to a 3.9. And I think the game 3.9 out of 5 reflects it quite well. It's a good game, it's a solid game. It's a really enjoyable one. It belongs to the best EasyTech games. For example, if we now look at European War 5, which is a lot worse, or the Glory of General ones, which overall are just, yeah, the worst things that they did. I think it's a really good game. It belongs to the better EasyTech games, but it won't beat World Conqueror 3. It won't beat European War 4 anytime soon. Maybe it might beat World Conqueror 4 in like terms of downloads and posts. But I think these games are kind of head to head. Both really good. I enjoyed them a lot. Personally, I say I probably give it a little higher, but just try to be objective. I think a 4 out of 5. Well, like I said, 3.9. I mean, if you can round it to 4 out of 5. Is a solid score, what it deserves. And it's a very playable game, it's a lot of fun. If you want something new, if you have played World Conqueror 3 and European War 4 enough, European War 6 will be very welcome. It has some new additions, it's a lot of fun, but it's a grindy game. So be prepared to invest hours. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Tell me what you think. What is your score out of 5? Write me a big comment, just smack out that review like I did right now. Tell me what you think and I will have a look at them and give my opinion. Anyways, I wish you all a nice day. Have a nice and bye.